Hello to my fellow history lovers, history fans, people that just have curious minds and like to learn. I'm author Eileen Schnabel, author of the Kept Westgard Time Travel to the American Revolution series, and we are on Hardships of War Day 3. This is all from the Professor Noggin series. And the question was, were prisoners treated well? And the answer is no, on either side. But we're going to focus right now on Patriot prisoners in this fabulous book that I've been using for this series, which is called The American Revolution by the Smithsonian, which I love. There is a section on prisoners of war. And I'm just going to share with you a couple facts that I found fascinating. And the first one was this. In 1775, the King George, he basically does a proclamation of rebellion. And if patriots are captured, they are considered, quote, the king's misguided subjects. So they're not prisoners of war because, and I quote, that would acknowledge they came from an independent state. So they're actually called misguided subjects. Needless to say, that doesn't really help them because they are kept in horrific conditions, including on prison ships. And this one, I'll just read you real quick here. It says, living conditions on aboard the HMS Jersey were particularly harsh. Every morning, the captured patriots held on board were woken by the gruesome cry of rebels, bring out your dead. So the conditions were harsh, and you might think, well, why were they even putting them on ships? And part of it is there are 18,000 patriots that were captured during the war, and they basically ran out of space to put them in. If you think about it, this isn't their country, right? So they don't have a lot of prisons sitting around, and they were doing makeshift prisons all over the place, but including, and this was something I found fascinating, they were shipping patriot prisoners, I had no idea of this, to all over basically the British Empire, including the Caribbean islands, such as Antigua and St. Lucia, and Senegal in Africa. Captives were also sent to Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and then, of course, as well as kept in the United States. Now, a huge difference is how the officers were treated. So I'm going to tell you the difference. So if you were a soldier, things were pretty awful, but if you were an officer, you usually were paroled, and that basically meant you promised not to fight again. It says almost every officer was paroled, freed on the condition that they did not take part in the war again. And they were allowed to live in private homes in exchange for paying for room and board. And remember, most officers in the British Army come from wealth, and that's how they got to be officers. But it says, and I'm actually quoting you, this Lieutenant Jabez Field was captured at the Battle of Long Island in 1776, and he recorded how he was treated, and I quote, with the greatest humanity and tenderness, and always, quote, dwelt in affluent circumstances. So if you were going to be taken prisoner of war, you wanted to be on the an officer. Anyway, thanks for letting me share. I always like doing these, so thank you for listening anyway and taking part. I will see you tomorrow.